Hey everybody, it's your friend and your guy and your favorite cringe thumbnail maker, Gardiner. The Steam Deck is becoming the greatest piece of gaming technology on the market. And that's why I like to take a moment out of my week, every week, to talk to you about Steam Deck news. That's right, it's Steam Deck news time. Now, the first thing that I want to talk about is the anecdotal evidence that Valve is plowing their way through the reservation queue. And it's got to a point now where the queue essentially doesn't exist for the 64 gig model in any region. Reddit user Soulgun007 reported that they placed their order on Monday and got the invitation email the very next day. That is an unbelievable turnaround. And sure, the 64 gigabyte model is one thing, I hear you. But what about the others? Well, in that same thread, many users are reporting that they placed orders for a 512 gig model and received the email invite within a month. UK Redditor All Red Line says they placed their 512 gig order on Friday and got their invite on Wednesday. Meanwhile, US-based Redditor DressMonkey4827 says that they reserved their deck on September 9th and it should be in their hands tomorrow, which was 3 days ago. Now, if Valve can open up actual orders and not pre-orders before Christmas, the deck should sell like gangbusters. And it looks like that might be true with European fulfillment in a day and North American fulfillment of the 512 model within a month. Hopefully the reservation queue will soon be history for the deck, and anyone who wants one will be able to buy one whenever they want. And not just from Steam, but also from Target or GameStop too. All right guys, so I have been working on this video. I switched over to YouTube in my browser just to take a quick break, and all of a sudden, Valve announces that there's no more reservation queue. This is huge news, and if you are interested in picking one up, go get it right now. Valve says they have enough stock in production right now that they think they can meet demand even if there's a huge surge in people who want to buy it. But if the demand outstrips production, they might have to go back to adding a reservation queue. So if you want a Steam Deck, jump on this right now. So everything I said about having no queue before Christmas, yeah, apparently that's a thing now. Also, you can now get the dock for purchase too. So the Steam Deck's dock is $89. It has DisplayPort 1.4, HDMI 2.0, power in USB-C, and then it has gigabit Ethernet and 3 USB 3.1 ports. I'm curious to see how the dock accommodates the aftermarket cases like the kill switch. Very interested to see how this works. I'm buying one today, and I'll have a review for it as soon as I receive it. It says the shipping for both the dock and the deck is between 1 to 2 weeks. So hopefully we can get our hands on this stuff pretty soon. All right, back to the rest of the video. So Google is now closing down Stadia. Many people have seen this coming. Heck, I saw it coming in 2019 when they first announced it.
The next major problem with this is that Google is probably just going to end up retiring this service in a few years' time. They've done this with 70 odd projects that they were like, no, we're dead serious about this. Some of the people behind Stadia have said, no, this is different, but can we really trust what the people at Google say about, like, this is different this time? I don't know. Seems like Boy Who Cried Wolf kind of on its head.
Unfortunately, this is just proof positive that Google is incapable of launching a service in this day and age, even if it's one that you pay for, like Stadia. I mean, when there's a community-run website that documents all the apps, services, and hardware that your company has launched and then subsequently killed, that meticulously details how old the service was and even what services are going to be killed off, you might have a problem, Google. Stadia will only be 3 years old when it's officially gotten the axe. 3 years. And besides the fact that Google was the one providing the service, its days were already numbered. The writing was on the wall. I mean, just last year, they fired the entire first-party development team at Stadia. That was a sign right there. It didn't bode well for the future of the platform. And look, I feel bad for the devs who were completely blindsided by this news. Rebecca Heinemann, the CEO of Old School, said in an interview with The Verge that they had plans to meet with Stadia to review marketing of their next title, Luxor Evolved, the day this video went live. And Brendan Sheffield, the creative director at Necrosoft Games, said that his team was having marketing discussions with Stadia just last week. The official Pixel Games Twitter account said that they had spent weeks completing the paperwork and doing the work needed to publish their games. Donut Dodo Sir Lovelock, and Siggy on Stadia, only to have Google announce that Stadia was closing down 2 hours after they submitted the paperwork. So for Google to pull the plug like this is just crazy to me. But at least Google is refunding gamers who purchase games through Stadia. One of the biggest reasons I decided against even trying it was that I knew that this day would come. I don't trust Google to stick to their guns and run their services like a responsible company. I knew that they would close down Stadia, so the fact that Google expected me to buy titles on their service, which I knew was going to shutter eventually, meant that it was a complete non-starter for me. I'm not going to risk my money on a platform I don't trust to be around in 5 years, which it obviously won't be. At least now they're offering refunds to everyone who bought games and hardware, though monthly subscription fees will not be refunded. I am curious though how Google plans to make things right for developers like Old School and Pixel Games. Devs who did the work to get their games ready for release on Stadia, only to have the rug yanked out from underneath them. Now, you might be asking, well, why are we talking about Stadia shutting down in a Deck news video? And there's a couple reasons for that. The first is that, there are a lot of games on Stadia that just aren't available on Deck. And because of that, this affects Deck gamers as well. The other thing is that Stadia games are Linux compatible. And there are several Stadia exclusive titles that might make their way to Steam and the Steam Deck. That would be pretty awesome, honestly. One title that I'd really like to see is Pixel Junk Raiders. Now, Pixel Junk games are some of my favorite titles, and Q Games is talking about bringing Raiders to another platform. But there's another reason that we're actually talking about this, and it's because of Destiny 2. But before we get on to Destiny 2 news, I've got to ask you a question. Are you enjoying this video? Why not like that smash button and maybe give that subscribe button a poke? We're so close to 100,000 subscribers, and with your help, we can do it. And thanks. Holy cow, Bungie might actually listen. So Bungie, the notoriously anti-Linux game developer, has created a post on the official Destiny subreddit where they opened the floor to discussions about Destiny 2 on Linux and alternative platforms. Why this is important, though, is that Bungie's terms of service explicitly prohibits playing Destiny 2 on anything other than Windows. Did you do some tweaking and got Destiny running through Proton? Prepare to be banned. Quote, Destiny 2 is not supported for play or on any system utilizing Steam Play's Proton unless Windows is installed and running. Players who attempt to launch Destiny 2 on the Steam Deck through SteamOS or Proton will be unable to enter the game and will be returned to their game library after a short time. Players who are not accessing Destiny 2 through Windows and attempt to bypass the SteamOS Proton incompatibility will be met with a game ban. That's a pretty hard stance to take, but they just created a focused feedback thread where people are not only allowed, but actually encouraged to talk about Linux on their subreddit. And the question is though, why? Why now? Why not a few months ago? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Mr. Woodhouse, a mod of the subreddit, left a comment in the thread. Quote, given that in the past week we've had the announcement of Stadia's planned demise and a Destiny 2 team lead expressing their love for Steam Deck as a hardware choice for playing Destiny 2, they were playing Destiny 2 on Steam Deck in a manner which is allowed by the terms of service, there is renewed public interest in the discussion and the decision was made to make it this week's focused feedback topic. This way, the discussion can be had and Bungie is provided with fresh, organized feedback on this issue from the Destiny Reddit community. And looking through the thread, everybody seems generally positive on the idea. There's a lot of upvotes, there's very few downvotes, and comments are generally positive too. There are a few annoying entitled Linux guys who are saying, just enable BattlEye. Truth be told, it's really not that simple of a process to do. I want to give mad props to everybody who has left a civilized comment on this thread. There'll be a link below if you haven't already checked it out. Go do it and be civil. Make sure that they understand Linux is a viable option for their business. Now we get to the biggest news of the week. Not only did we get a new stable, and let me emphasize that, a stable channel update for the Steam client, but Valve also dropped version 3.3.2 of SteamOS this week. Again, there are stable updates for the Steam Deck, not just the client, but SteamOS as well, meaning that this news affects the vast majority of Steam Deck users. Now, last time there was a stable update, folks asked me to show how to apply it, and that's really easy. Go into the Steam menu, go to the settings, and then select System. And if you don't have a prompt to update, click the Check for an Update button. Now, if you're on the beta client or beta SteamOS channels, these will be features that you've already been accustomed to for a while now. But for the rest of us folks who want stable stuff on their Steam Deck, this will be news for you. So let's talk about SteamOS 3.3.2. Now, generally speaking, this SteamOS release is about fixing issues. For example, they fixed crashes in Red Dead Redemption 2, they improved frame pacing when compositing, they prevented controller firmware being flashed at every boot, they fixed an issue where touches on the edge of the trackpad were being ignored, and they fixed an issue with SD card formats failing. They also modified USB descriptors to support controller navigation in the EFI menu when booting. But the biggest thing that they did was they added OS support to select video output resolution and refresh rates from within game mode. This is a huge deal and it's been a glaringly obvious missing feature from game mode. Now, the reason it wasn't included was because the OS had to be able to facilitate game mode changing the resolution, and now it does. They also fixed some other issues with docking, including improving external display hot plug detection. But the Steam client also had a huge update. Some small changes include performance improvements rendering the home screen, chat text boxes now auto-focusing when opening the chat tab, and some issues with the Steam Cloud trying to sync while the deck is offline. Now, as I mentioned earlier, they have done a lot of work to improve the docked game mode experience. For example, the deck is now automatically able to control display resolution to provide an optimal experience on high-res displays. The deck is also keeping track of refresh rate and FPS limits independently for internal and external displays, which is a huge deal. They also disabled refresh rate switching via the quick access menu for external displays by default because this can cause major issues on random displays. But they have added a toggle for developers to be able to re-enable this feature on an external display. There's also been some big improvements to Steam Input. For example, controller configurations now automatically switch to be per device when multiple of the same controllers are connected at once. The virtual menu preview in the configurator can now highlight the appropriate button when navigating to its associated command in the command list. They've reduced the occurrence of double activations on soft press to touchpads and sticks. They fixed scaling of the virtual hotbar menu preview in the configurator. They fixed an issue where disabled would be listed multiple times in the drop-down options for modes. They fixed an issue where booting into offline mode in desktop would result in unresponsive controller inputs until the stay offline dialog was clicked. There was also various fixes for crashes, but I think one of the most interesting things that the community is going to get a kick out of is Valve has obviously been paying attention to what we're doing, and they've added support for custom boot videos. The Steam Deck will now look for a custom boot video and or a suspend animation in the Steam directory under root config UI overrides movies, which makes me wonder if they're going to have UI overrides for other things coming soon. I would love to see that. Valve says that you'll need to create this folder because it doesn't exist by default. Any boot videos are going to need to be WebM file format. There's no need to truncate your videos or mess with CSS like the non-standard solutions before. Now, with all that being said, this is yet another massive update for the Steam Deck. From community-focused features that allow for more customization, to Steam Input updates that make more games accessible while using a controller, to just general purpose updates that kick butt. The Steam Deck truly is the best gaming device ever created, and I'm so excited for its future. I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a comment and let me know. I'd love to hear from you. I want to give a special shout out to my friends on Patreon and my YouTube members. It's because of folks like them that I'm able to continue bringing you videos just like this one. If you believe in the work that I'm doing and you want to help this show grow, you can use the links below to pledge your monthly support. And thanks. I think that's going to do it for now though. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys next time.